I made it very clear to my managers, every employee has the right to have vision and purpose, that we share with every employee the vision of the company and ask them to join us in that vision. Our dream was to be the leading hotel company in the world. That's the vision, and that's what we work for. And all our action is to serve that vision. And we invite everybody to join that dream. And that's why I try to help employees to understand you define yourself not when you're at home watching TV. You define yourself when you're at work. Today, an employee from Ritz-Carlton looks for another job, and the 100 others, I bet the Ritz-Carlton employee gets it, because we have defined ourselves as being excellent together. And as leaders, we have to understand that role to organize the organization and lead the organization. So together we define ourselves as people of excellence.
I read your book, Excellence Wins, getting ready for this interview. What an amazing book, and for all the time in the luxury hotel market, everything you've done for it, raising the standards. What was your favorite part of all of that, if you even could have one?
Yeah, I hope that story is not too long. I just understand. I started Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company and Capella afterwards. Capella is ultra luxury hotel company. Ritz-Carlton is of course luxury. But when I opened one of the hotels, which I just came from last night, by the way, I came from Asia. I came from Bali, where we did some work, consulting with a group. When I opened that hotel about 30 years ago, the Ritz-Carlton, at the time Ritz-Carlton, today it's called Ayana, Ritz-Carlton in Bali, I opened every Ritz-Carlton hotel. And before every opening, I prayed that somebody will understand my teaching, that I would know somebody really understood my teaching. And I did that in the opening of that hotel over now nearly 40 years ago. And I left there, and when I flew back home to Atlanta, I prayed that somebody understood what I taught. A number of years later, Ritz-Carlton was not running that hotel anymore. I had started Capella. And then the owner of the former Ritz-Carlton hotel asked me to put that hotel into my portfolio of Capella hotels. So I went back there to take over a hotel that I had opened many years before that. So the owner of that hotel gave a big reception for the community, the industry, and the mayor, and everybody was there. There was 1,000 people there. And a young man came to me and said, "Can I talk to you, Mr. Schulze?" I said, "Please do." He said, "I was there when you opened this hotel as a Ritz-Carlton. You were teaching the managers. I was a banquet server at the time. I sneaked into the back of the room to listen to what you taught the managers. And when you left the room, I took the flip charts we were writing on. I still have them. I'm now the general manager of a hotel in Ubud. Thank you for your teaching. I took it all to heart." And I knew my prayer was answered. Probably one of the most fulfilling moments I had in my career.
That's incredible. That's just incredible. In the book, you talk about we're kind of the same everywhere around the world, because a lot of people will tell me when you set up a company in another country, the culture is different, the people are different, what works here won't work there. And just as a little background, I sold an aerospace company in 2016, and we were in 60 different countries, 2,000 customers. I found a lot of really solid similarities, but talk about that. What did you find about what was similar, regardless of where you set up a hotel?
Yeah. That's also, I find that extremely fascinating, particularly living in the culture where we live, where everybody seems to be greatly involved with race talk and so on. I opened hotels in Africa. And now, mind you, I opened every Ritz-Carlton hotels, the first 40 or so, maybe 50, I don't know how many. I was not there to drink champagne when the hotel opened. I was there to welcome the employees, teach the employees, and spend time in our culture. if that was Jamaica or Sharm el-Sheikh or Berlin or Osaka or Shanghai or Philadelphia. And it was all the same. I didn't find any difference if it was all Japanese or all blacks or all whatever. I didn't find a difference. And in fact, we knew the subconscious expectation of the guest is everywhere the same. When they purchase anything, they want no defect, they want timeliness, they want somebody to care for them. The expectations of the employee was the same. They want to be part of something, not just fulfill functions for something, etc. I can give so many things that was exactly the same, no matter where we were. So we had 20 non-negotiables established that have to happen in each hotel, no matter where. Of course, the manager of the hotel calls me, Horst, you don't understand. It's different here in Shanghai. I said, I understand, but look at your 20 non-negotiables. That's who we are, and they're the same everywhere. So this talk about this differences that exist, and so it's greatly exaggerated. I worked it. I know it.
Yeah. And you were able to do this culturally everywhere. I love one of the things you say, which is don't come to work, come to create excellence.
That's right. Yeah.
And
that's right. Now I respected some, I had in my briefcase, I had a file for every country I was traveling to, and I was traveling 250 days a year. But before I landed in a certain country, I opened what are the culture do's or don'ts. I respect that. But the general expectation of customer or employee as human beings are the same. They wanted to be respected as human beings and not just number. And that is what I see in companies, which is difficult for me today to even see. But I learned it, that I'm not hiring people to fulfill functions. I'm hiring human beings to join me in my dream. And the human beings that I serve, I'm here to not give them a room to sleep, but to help to instill well-being in them, not to give them food and beverage, but help them to feel well in my establishment, secure and well overall. That is my role. And that expectation existed in every guest, no matter where I was.
Okay. And so creating that environment, that culture, what I'm hearing is you found that it doesn't matter where you're at in the world, no matter what age an employee is or team member is, they're going to get on board with it largely, with very few exceptions. Is that what you found?
That's what I found. Exactly. I tell in my book the story about opening the hotel in Jamaica. Now, we developed a hotel with Ritz-Carlton, and I was warned. I got even calls from managers from the US that had worked in Jamaica. They warned me of these terrible employees that are nothing but thieves and no good and lazy and so on. No, literally. So I went with great concern to Jamaica. Now we were careful in selecting, and we explained them from the very beginning, join us, don't come to work here for us. Join us in creating excellence. Join us to define that hotel and consequently Jamaica as a special place. Of course, we had the right communication. When I went down there to open the hotel, the first day, which I did the orientation always, as I said before, and I have training, the employees came the first day and I told them, you are not servants here. You're ladies and gentlemen who serve ladies and gentlemen. You're professionals in what you're doing when we teach you. You're not servants. You are ladies and gentlemen. You have to act, unless you sentence yourself to be a servant by not acting like a lady or gentleman. I explained that to them. So the next morning, I went for a jog. At the time I was younger, I was running and I came back from my running and I saw this very well-dressed people walking down the road. They were, and I thought, what is this early in the morning? And it's before 7:00. Where are they going? Is there a funeral? Is there a wedding? Or what is it? There more people go. And as I jogged toward the hotel, I saw people dressed like that walking toward the hotel. And they walked into the employees' entrance. And what turned out to be, because I said to them, you are, ladies and gentlemen, they dressed up the next day. I can tell you, I nearly cried when I saw that. They were sitting there as ladies and gentlemen, and those fine human beings that I was warned of. I brought many to the United States. Because they were exceptionally caring and serving people. And so there was no difference. It's just the expectation was different. I mean, you cannot expect from them to be thieves and act and treat them like it, and then not to create them as thieves. But I expect them to be ladies and gentlemen. In join, I was eager to give them purpose, to create a fine representation for Jamaica. You see, Aristotle already said, you cannot be fulfilled unless you have purpose and belonging. So why wouldn't I offer my people, no matter where I am, purpose and belonging? Not just function. You see, the chair in which you're sitting is fulfilling a function, but I'm dealing with human beings that are there for a higher purpose, I hope. That is my expectation. And that is how I judge them. If they give it to me, that's a different question. But they are human beings that I'm hiring with feelings and emotions. And my guests are human beings with feeling emotions. So how do I bring them together for the best of all?
Yeah. And so many employers completely miss that. They're hiring for functions. I've heard enough say, we didn't hire you to think. We need you to do these things.
That is Ford said that to his people, in fact.
I've heard
don't hire anybody these things. Hire people with 4 hands. They're human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing that's always interesting to me is I've run my businesses that way. I'm on my 7th company. I've started from scratch, and I look at everybody that way. We're strengthening community, how we're there for each other. I've never once had a leader actually quit. I've had to kick a few off the bus where it didn't work out or we outgrew them, but never had one quit because we did all of that stuff right. And then those that only focus, which is important, on the money, and they forget the other stuff, they end up making less money. Why do you think they don't understand that when it's not working as well?
It's very difficult for me because I in that respect, I made it very clear to my managers that every employee has the right to have vision and purpose. That we share with every employee the vision of the company and ask them to join us in that vision. Our dream was to be the leading hotel company in the world. That's the vision. And that's what we work for. And all our action is to serve that vision. And we invite everybody to join that dream, give vision. And one of my general managers said, oh, come on, Horst, giving vision to dishwashers? Wow. I had a hard time looking at him. Because we have no right to make the decision that the dishwasher cannot comprehend that. I have no right to make the decision to treat them any less than I would treat a manager as a human being. He has a different, he fulfills a function, a different one, but he's still part just as much as the manager is, who is all fulfilling a different function again. But they're all part of a vision. We are all here to accomplish that vision. We all will define ourselves by that vision. And that's why I try to help employees to understand you define yourself not when you're at home watching TV. You define yourself when you're at work. By defining the company, Ritz-Carlton, today, an employee, I'm gone for 20 years. Today, an employee from Ritz-Carlton looks for another job, and the 100 others I bet the Ritz-Carlton employee gets it, because we have defined ourselves as being excellent together. I didn't do it. The busboy, the bellman, the waiter, the doorman, they did it. Together we define ourselves. And as leaders, we have to understand that role to organize the organization and lead the organization. So together we define ourselves as people of excellence.
Yeah, incredible. So I came from a very low income family. My first job where I got a paycheck was as a dishwasher at a restaurant. And I was so thankful to have that job. And my attitude was, and I don't even know where this came from, but I'm going to be the best dishwasher they ever had. I was. Then the best busboy they ever had. I was. And then the best cook they ever had. I was. And then that went on to other things. So for me, I don't know where it came from, in my early days, but it was just there and it stayed with me my whole life. I'm 62 now. Where did you get it from, or did you even know where it came from back then?
Yes, I can actually pretty well define where it came from. I mean, I was given the values clearly by my parents. You do the right thing, you do and so on. And it's amazing. I left home when I was 14 to live in a hotel, in a dorm room in the hotel with other kids, and worked as a busboy in the hotel. That meant at the time washing dishes, cleaning floors, and so on. That's what that meant the next 3.5 years. But the first day at work, speaking to the general manager of the hotel, whose message was very clear throughout the hotel at all times. You are here to be servants to important ladies and gentlemen. And for me, the first day he talked to me, you are here to learn to be a servant to very important ladies and gentlemen. The next person I talked to was the maître d', the head waiter, we would call him food and beverage director here, of the hotel. The person in charge of the food and beverage or in the restaurant. And he talked to me next and he said, young man, he said 2 sentences to me which formed my life. I didn't get it at the time, mind you. It went over my head at the time. I was 14 years old. He said, young man, tomorrow you are going to be here at 7 a.m. If I meant 1 minute after 7, I would tell you so. He established in one sentence, when I say something, I mean it. We have discipline here. We have exactness here, everything. I didn't get that. I learned it over the next couple of years working with him. And the next sentence was, and don't come to work tomorrow. That shocked me. He said, come here to create excellence in what you're doing. That shocked me because I knew the next day I have to wash dishes, I have to clean floors, etc. And excellent, how can that be excellent? I learned it because he was a man of high intent. He created excellence in everything he did. He had high intent. And I learned from him, whatever you do, have high intent doing it. And high intent, and excellence is no accident. Excellence is the result of high intent and hard work. It's no accident. And your decisions of high intent determine your destiny.
That's incredible. What are some examples of how you operationalize that? Because one of the things a lot of leaders go through, and I certainly did, is I could come in and save the day, and I would stay up at night thinking about things, solve problems, and running at it. But once I started having a lot more team members and more locations, all of a sudden I can't do that. So I had to operationalize it. You went through that in the book. Talk about that. How to think through that, and what are some examples of what you did?
Well, the big question is, I can accomplish that in the hotel that I'm running by being present and teach and repeat and so on. I can accomplish, but how am I going to do it operationally and make sure it happens in Philadelphia, in Berlin, in Shanghai, in Osaka, and Jamaica at the same time? Well, and again, it has to be made operational. You have to determine the processes to accomplish it, and of course, the key process is the relationship, the moment of interaction between the employee and the customer, and that is where I establish trust. If I'm nice to you, you will trust me and consequently use me again. It's not a product that creates customer loyalty. It's great trust is customer loyalty. And that trust is created by showing that we care for them and care for them. And so how am I going to accomplish that in every employee? So again, it's a process. It has to be operational. So we carefully looked at our selection process. We didn't just hire, we selected. And we communicated in the selection already the expectation of caring for customers we have. And then the next process was orientation. I often discuss that because I have looked at many companies, how they do the onboarding or orientation, what the first day of work. The first day of work is very typical in all companies. And I'm going to repeat that. In all companies. One more time. In all companies. I looked at so many, it's all the same. The new employee comes in and he's being told the rules of the organization. And he gets a handbook with rules. And then he signs insurance and works on insurance papers. And then he signs some legal stuff. And his paperwork is working through. And when it's finally through with that, the manager, it's the manager of human resource. They make their speech about, we're a team here. The pathetic team speech takes place. No, we have to understand, what is a team? A team is a group of people who have a common objective, but they never give the objective. They don't say, here's our vision. We said our common objective to become the best in the world. Be known and best in the world. You are joining us to become the best in the world. Together, we have to create the best in the world. That is our objective. And we're doing that together and help each other to accomplish that objective. That's what we said. But usually, there's just, we are a team here, or we are family here. Worse. That's even worse. We're not a family. I mean, it's silly. It is a silly thing. Family. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving together. Come on. We're not a family. We're a team if we have a common objective. So the team speech happens without objective. The next thing is everywhere. I mean, somehow, I repeat it often because it upsets me. We turn over the new waiter or whatever that function is. It doesn't matter. We turn over the new waiter bill to an experienced waiter, Fred. And we say, all of a sudden, work with Fred. He knows the ropes. Suddenly, we're in a rope business for some reason. We have never met a rope, but for some reason, he knows ropes. And we say, Fred. And then let's be very honest. Fred is an unhappy employee. And Bill is a new employee. And Fred tells the new employee, this company sucks. And then we have expectations. If an employee leaves and was a bad employee, if he was a bad employee, then I have to ask you, their leader, why did you hire him? What's wrong with the selection? You made a mistake, not Fred, the waiter that left. Or you oriented them wrong, or you trained them wrong, or you have the wrong work environment. One of those reasons exists why Fred was not good. It could be your way of selecting people. But it's you. You cannot do anything about Fred. So I want you to go back and look at your processes of selection, your process of orientation, your process of teaching, and your process of work environment. And then see what you have to improve so that Fred will stay next time.
Yeah. And I think
right. We have to accept our role as leaders, not just blame the guy that last year was not good. If he was really not good, then you are not good in selecting.
Yeah.
You have to tweak it.
Yeah, and I see a lot of leaders that will blame the employee or blame someone. but it really is the whole system. And I love what you say about getting them on board with the value creation mission, whatever it is.
Right.
That should be the most important thing we do. Oh, and we have some paperwork. It's just necessary
That's
things.
That's right.
But this is where we're going. And I've always thought of an organization as kind of a value creation machine, and everybody plays a critical part. The janitor's a critical part.
Everyone. Otherwise, don't hire them. Don't put them on the payroll if they're not important.
Why even have it? Yeah.
Why even have it?
So you talk about customer service and when it begins. Go through that. That was just fantastic.
Thank you.
Where does customer service begin?
Well, there's another thing. We're in the service industry. So what is service? And you get no answer. And service has to be, if I'm in that business, I have to be able to define it. And so for me, service is very simply, it starts the instant you make customer contact. This may be, and somebody said, well, we are an online banking. Well, it starts the instant they go into your online banking. So are you speaking on your online banking better than your competition? Do you make it easier? Did you have the bank in mind or the customer when you created your online banking? It doesn't matter. But the personal service starts the instant you make contact. That instant. And it follows, that's the first step. It follows with saying complying to the customer's needs and wishes. It follows by you doing your very best to help them with your product, to help them be satisfied and make the right decision and use your product right. That's it. And it ends with a farewell. Thank you for allowing me to serve you. So what is this moment after? What is it? Whatever you do, is it? I will do my very, very best to make you the right selection for the right car for you. I'm going to help you. I'm not pushing and selling you. I'm going to help you to make a great decision here. I'm helping you with the right hotel and whatever I'm doing. I'm helping you in my hardware store, even with the right hammer. You may think every hammer is the same, but I'm helping and show you it's not, and I'm helping. And I'm not defining myself with the hammer, but I will define myself with how I'm helping you. And that has to be the desire. So that is service, this moment of helping you. And then, of course, when I'm finished and saying, thank you for coming to my hardware store. I appreciate that you're my guest today. And that is service to the guest. No matter if I'm in a bank or in a hardware store, in a hotel, or in a car, it doesn't matter. It's hospitality. Hospitality is an interesting thing, by the way. It's hospitality in any business. I have some people, somebody said, well, we are B2B. Whoa. There's still one human being in your company that deals with a human being in the other, and that's how the opinion will be created. And that is still hospitality. By the way, the first teaching in hospitality, I like to share that because it's very interesting. The first teaching that I could find, and I searched long years, was not the first words about hospitality, but the first actual teaching was done in the year 500 by a saint in Europe who created hospitality, Saint Benedict. He created monasteries in Europe. And he wrote in the year 500 to his monasteries, if a guest arrives to the abbey, to the one in charge, welcome him and treat him as if it was Jesus himself. In other words, when they walk in, they have the highest status possible. And then, in fact, he said, and if the guest has dinner, even if you're in a fast, break your fast if the guest is alone and join them. But first wash their feet. How close do we come to that? To the guest that walks into our beauty salon, into our hardware store, into our hotel. How close do we come to that? I try to get as close as possible. That's all. And the problem is and then we think today that the thinking today is just foreign to me. I spoke to the classic hotels of America recently, it's a year ago. And before me was a speaker, all the fine hotels of America. And they're really fine hotels, mind you. I don't want to take that away for 1 second. I mean nothing negative, but there was a speaker before me who runs a fine hotel. But that speaker said, forget everything you know about the hotel business. Everything is new. Everything new. Technology. Here it is. You make a reservation on that. You check in on that. You go into your room on that. You check out on that. Everything is new. Forget everything you knew. Forget it all. I was the next speaker. And I said, nothing is new. You see, this should help you to do all the things that were always there, because the guest, believe me, the human being 5,000 years ago wanted to be respected. And that was true a week ago, and was true this morning. And when they walk into your business, they want to be respected. And all the technology should help you to do that. I'm not against the technology, but you're here to respect people, to show them that you care, that you want to help them with your product, and not just push it on them. And all your technology should help you to do that. That's nothing. And by the way, next year, they still want to be respected. And incidentally, I know for sure, I can tell you the future, in 5,000 years, they still want to be respected.
Yeah. Well, I don't think human nature has changed in 5,000 years. It's
not in that sense. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it feels amazing when you're treated like a real customer and they care about you. We all know what that feels like. And I even think internally, and I go back to the very early restaurant days, and the job was important to me because I was out of the house as well early, and I had to support myself in an apartment. But going back there, of all the managers that I went through, there was one that made me feel like he really cared about me and what I was going to do. I'll never forget. Jim Fletcher was the guy's name. I'll never forget him. Like, what is that about what he did? And so everybody gets the external customers, but you talk about internal customers.
Yeah. Oh, sure. We're talking about, you have to understand there are many, we changed something I have to laugh about, because we made that very clear, and we had a lot of great European chefs, truly creative, fantastic people. However, they have their idiosyncrasy. They're very creative and proud. And we said to them, by the way, the waiters are your guests. That was a shock to them. So we made them sit down and said, how can I serve you better? Because this is an internal customer. You have to accept that. Because if you don't take care of your internal customers, the end customer won't get right what you want to do, and your name gets hurt. It took a while for those European chefs to get that and accept that, and became unenthusiastic about it, mind you. This was very difficult. I found, by the way, interesting enough, I find two job categories that don't accept that they are part of this in different industries, and that are in hospitals that are the doctors. They said everybody else, but no, not us, the doctors take care. And in law companies, the lawyers. They're the two most difficult to teach groups. If you are in the podcast, forgive me, don't be angry with me. I found that. I can't help it. It's true.
Yeah, that's we're all humans. We're all working with each other. We want it to feel right. This is so important. It's so good. 3 universals. I want to shift a little bit, and how you talk about it, starting with being defect free. Go through that, because I think that applies to all businesses as well.
Yeah. But here's the interesting thing, and I just said something to doctors generally, just to explain that again, why I said that. The expectation, the subconscious expectation of the customer, of the purchaser, is the same no matter what you purchase. In all cultures, by the way, again. all cultures have the same subconscious expectation in the purchase that they make. You, that is you, I, everybody. And I always like to give a bottle of water as an example, because in a meeting when I speak, there's usually bottles of water staying. If you buy a bottle of water, what is your subconscious expectation? Or a house or a car it doesn't matter. Your subconscious expectation is that the product is defect-free. Stay with a bottle of water. You don't want anything swimming there. That is a subconscious expectation that must be fulfilled, by the way. Whatever you do, the subconscious expectation of defect-free product must be fulfilled by you. You do a product, you have your processes so that they're defect-free. The next thing that the customer expects from your product, or you from any product, is timeliness, which is, by the way, is extremely important. And the next expectation is that somebody cares. The person that gives it you cares for you. And by the way, doctors that listen, or lawyers, and the reason why that is different is that in a doctor's office, the product does not drive customer satisfaction at all, because the 99,000 out of 100,000 don't know really what the doctor is doing for them. They don't understand it. The only thing that plays a role is the caring. How does your doctor deal with you? That is the opinion about it. So that's why I said that. And so there is some reason why I said that. But in general, it is the caring. And it's the caring that drives the customer satisfaction, because the product doesn't create loyalty. The caring, the relationship creates loyalty, because in the moment when you care for a guest or for a customer, the customer starts trusting you. It's trust that you go for. It's not really care, it's trust what you go for. And there was a recent survey, by the way, and it's a very pretty recent survey, where the American market was studied, and 80% of the overall market says, if you care for me, no matter what, any purchase, if you care for me, I deal with you, even if I knew I could buy the same product for less next door. I still come with you because you care for me. Why? Because if you care, you trust. That's the point here. And that caring, trust, is how I say hello, how I treat them, how I respect them, how I honor. That is the caring that I want. Respect that I spend a few dollars with me. Respect me. And that moment of respect creates trust and consequently loyalty by the customer.
Yeah. I've always thought of my customers over the years, and for sure today, as just, especially businesses, they're just collections of people trying to support their families. So my perspective has always been, how can I make them more successful as an organization or within their role within the organization? And so I'm just backing up what you're saying. That's always worked incredibly well for me, thinking about it that way.
Yeah. And as a leader, I have to think, I talked about the objective of becoming the best in the world. I had to question myself, is that good for the investor? It has to be, otherwise we're not in business. The next, is it good for every employee? Yeah, it creates opportunity, etc., and it defines everybody. Is it good for every guest? Sure, if I'm giving a better program than anybody, it's good. And next, is it good for society? If the answer is yes, as a leader, I cannot compromise it anymore, because what I'm doing is good for everyone. So, and the honor about now, I'm serving guests. My honor is to instill well-being in them, not just giving them something, but be excellent and instill well-being for them. My honor as a leader of my staff, all employees, is that I have the opportunity to positively impact their life. As a leader, I can. And it's not my intent that they like me. My decision is not for them to like me. My decision for them is to make them successful by being part of something excellent, by making sure they learn, be sure that they're also respected. I have to know I deal with two groups of people: the market and the employees. Both groups has feelings, emotions, and just like I do. I cannot all of a sudden dismiss that out of them. How can I dismiss that out of them just because giving you a product and I give you a product and you don't have feelings? Otherwise, well, you do. No, you want to be respected. I cannot just fulfill a function and I dismiss everything. No, you're a human being who want to be part, want to belong, wants to be respected also. So I have to take care of those emotions together with the product and so on. And now I have a leadership that serves both units that I have. In the process, I serve the investor, which I cannot forget because I'm not going to be in business without them.
Yeah. So many leaders need to remember this. When I watch their actions, it's like they've completely forgotten they're working with people with emotions.
Yeah.
And they need to stick their head up and look around and go, wait a minute, this is real. But they forget it. You said something really fascinating in the book, and I love simplification as a powerful way to communicate something. And you talk about three types of customers and 3 ways to lose them. I thought it was brilliant. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, we have to understand that too. I mean, oh my goodness, we better not miss that. There are 3 types of guests. There's a dissatisfied guest, the satisfied guest, and the loyal guest. We talked about loyal guests a minute ago, the guests that trust you. And the guy that the dissatisfied guest, they go next door if they think there's a better deal. And the dissatisfied guest can destroy you. They can become a terrorist against your company. Particularly today, much more so than when I did Ritz-Carlton. Today they can go on the internet and destroy you. So I want to say, if I know that, I have to do everything I can to eliminate a dissatisfied guest. Eliminate meaning not have any. And of course, that's why we taught every employee, certified every employee in problem resolution. If a guest has a problem, here's what you do. In a nutshell, the problem resolution, we did heavy teaching and certified every employee in that. Was number 1, listen. If you get a complaint, you own it. So if you're a busboy, the guest comes for breakfast and you say, good morning, sir, I hope you had a nice day with us. And the guest said, no, because my TV didn't work. You own the TV. You're the busboy, you own the TV. In that moment, you move into problem resolution. You say, first of all, you listen to the complaint. Don't look another way. Listen. Let the guest talk to you. Because, let me stop here for a moment. I go back to that. We knew, though, when we did that over 94%, could be 96, up to 96% of complaints that come, all the guest wants, all the customer wants is get rid of his or her frustration. And they tell it the first person who will listen. And if you don't listen, the frustration goes to a very high level. So the busboy now has to listen. It's now it's your TV, busboy. We taught them that. And the busboy so listens. The next thing the busboy has to do is show empathy. He said, oh, I feel bad. Yeah. The next thing, apologize. Please forgive me. In that moment, you have the complainer to a point where they're embarrassed that they even complained. And he said, no, I know it's not you. No, but I feel so bad. I feel so bad about her to be, sir, please forgive me. I want to make amends. I will buy you breakfast today. In that moment, the potential terrorist becomes an ambassador of your company. And that's what you want to accomplish, to move everybody into an ambassadorship. Now, we empowered the guest, the employee, to make that making amends decision. Any employee could do that up to $2,000. Now, that was when we did that, it was like a nuclear bomb went off. 2,000. You want busboys to give 2,000? No. I want not to lose a guest, ever. I want no terrorists out there. And nobody ever gave $2,000. Okay, they bought breakfast, they sent some cookies, and the guests were exuberant. So many things happened with guests. Exuberant what happened because the employee said, "I take care of it. It's my TV." That's it. So we certified everybody on that, and then with great success. I would like to tell you where that came from because then it makes more sense. I had a word analyst study a group of guests and ask questions. I actually wanted to know what they meant when they say, "I want to feel at home." I never understood it. I want to get a deeper knowledge, not what they said, what they really meant. And the analyst came back to me and said they don't want to feel at home. They want to feel actually like they felt as child in their mother's home. Subconsciously, how they remember their mother's home. And that was, and so what was that? What the analyst came back with, number one, everything was done without them worrying about it. The grass was cut, there was food, and in fact, there were things that I liked. It was just there. And here was the big thing. When something went wrong, and that applies to any company, and when something was wrong and the child, as a child, came home and said, Mom, something terrible. What did Mom do? She said, come here. I take you in my arm. I'm here for you. Mom never said, I called the manager. So for that, we had to empower the employee to say, I'm here for you. I'm not calling a manager. You came to the right, but you're getting rid. You can get rid. You can unload your frustration with me. In fact, I take care of you. It turns out most guests at that point were really embarrassed that they even complained and became ambassadors.
Yeah, that is so powerful. Short version of that for internal customers. I used to have a policy and still do where if an employee leaves for any reason whatsoever, the manager has to follow them for at least a year after they leave, check in on them, see what's going on.
Wow. Beautiful.
And the
more,
I'm
jealous.
The more disgruntled the employee, if it was really bad with 500 team members, I couldn't follow up with all of them. But if one was really disgruntled, they went to the top of my list. And really interesting conversations, screaming at me, I get it. This wasn't the right cultural fit. How's it going now? Can I help you? And lo and behold, within a year, a lot of these folks would go to work for an airline, for example, and start sending us work. That never would have happened without the policy. So I think we should remember our internal customers. We get the hiring wrong. It's on both of us. And let's really genuinely care for people as they go out the door.
Beautiful. I'm going to steal that one.
Please do. And so the powerful way you frame 3 ways to lose the customers, the last of the 3 in the book, I saw so many times, and it made it so easy to compete with our competitors. Talk about the 3 ways to lose customers.
You're referring, I can't.
It was in the section of the book. It was like 3 types of customers and 3 ways to lose them. And the first one was cut back on brand promise.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Well, sure.
Get careless. Yeah.
Sure. That's a whole important issue. The brand, if you're more than one store, by the way, that's a very interesting whole new subject about. I mean, I was blown away. We had a focus group too, and we didn't know we talked about hotel. We talked about cars, but we actually wanted to talk about hotel. What are the brands that they like, brands and so on. And then we kind of put in what hotels. And one of the participants said there is no such thing than a hotel brand. And whoa! What about Hilton, Hyatt, Sheraton, Westin, whatever? I said. And he said, that's a name. That's not a brand. Because if it was a brand, I could rely from one place to the next that they actually would deliver me what they promise. And they didn't. And so that was a major issue that we said, wow, when you walk into Ritz-Carlton, you have to know you're in a Ritz-Carlton, no matter where. And I have great compliments about that, by the way. I remember somebody calling me from Shanghai, somebody I knew called me from Shanghai and said, I just walked in the hotel, just checked in Horst. It looks totally different than any Ritz-Carlton. However, I knew in a minute that I was in a Ritz-Carlton. How is that possible? Well, I have to know as a brand, what am I as a brand? What is my promise? How I'm going to live a conscious and subconscious feelings in my brand. For example, we had the same odor in every elevator. It didn't matter where. You didn't. That was very subliminal, very low, very fun. Everybody looked you in the eye within 10 feet for the good reason, because within 10 feet, you make a decision about the other person. So everybody, no matter what, you walked in and everybody looked at you and said, hello, I have to interject here. I was recently in a very well-known hotel. You would not name, nearly everybody who listens would not name. 5-star, well-known, celebrated. I walked into that hotel in the morning early. By at least 20 employees, not one of them said good morning to me. Not one looked me in the eye and said good morning. Well, when you walked in the Ritz-Carlton at the time, everybody looked at you within 10 feet. That's what we thought. We said, no matter what we find, stop your function. Look the guest in the eye and say good morning, good afternoon, welcome, or whatever. A key element. It's a key element. And so the many things of the brand you could feel, no matter what around you was. And that is easy to accomplish because those are just nothing but processes to do. So that was a key piece why you lost or not. And every employee, and I have to say those things because they're so important. Every employee knew you are here to convince the guest to want to come back, not to check them in, not just make the room, not give them food, but convince them by your presence to want to come back and want to recommend us. And we measured that. I had that measurement every morning. So, I could from Atlanta, I knew every day. Now I looked at it carefully once a month. I flew over them once in a while. I just looked in certain places, but I looked once a month. I knew customer intent to return, intent to recommend. And my expectation, 92% would be top box. I expected employee satisfaction, which we made one survey, but by telephone, call it tweaked a little bit. Customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, I knew the business of the day, of course, the economics. I'm not dismissing that, but I made the economics by caring for the customer. And I knew the indicators for the future and groups and individual business. I knew that. So, and I knew you cannot lose a customer. Once in, you cannot lose them. And I knew basically there were a number of other things. I have to stress that here because in my customer was thinking different, and I want to be sure that every market segment is a little bit different. There is nothing wrong with different market segments. I happen to be in the luxury one. That's all. So I had to know what is this customer thinking. For instance, one of the things in this customer thought, more so than in any other level, important in each level, but extremely important in that level, it was cleanliness. If the room was not immaculate, if there was a little scratch on the furniture, my guest said, the room is not clean. If he would have gone to a Marriott or somewhere, great hotels, but he would have said there's a little scratch. So I have to make sure that I respond to what is in my market segment in relative to my product a concern. And we were very keen to study that constantly.
Yeah, fantastic. And in getting careless and becoming arrogant,
Well,
obviously
well,
that can be
yeah.
a giant
Taking him for
problem.
granted. That was taking him for granted. Yeah. That was, oh yeah. Those are all things that are
Yeah,
part
really,
of every
really,
business. Whoa, don't take them for granted. They want to be respected. And I think your listeners should know that this is such an important piece to the expectation of the customer has changed. Mind you, be with me. In a hotel, and you have to relate it to your businesses, but it's in a sense it's the same. You can easily relate it if you think it through. We knew in '84 when we started our Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company, the father of today's guest arrived. Today's guest is the son or daughter, that's the son of the guest that we had at the time. That guest arrived in a suit and tie with arm's length distance, and he wanted to be respected and wanted to be efficiently treated. His timing was not as precious as today's. He had a little time to wait before he checked in. Today's guest has only 20 seconds before they get annoyed. The son arrives today, and that's what I want to lift up. Be careful. The son arrives in blue jeans with holes in them and says, look here. I'm a dude like you. Don't let yourself be fooled. Because the son needs more attention, more being told you're important to us than the father did. No matter what he pretends. He needs more of being told we respect you than the father ever did. That the father somehow didn't need it much. The father just wanted to have arm's length, check me in, get me bellboy, take me off my luggage, and go away. And the son says, I'm here, look at me, I'm just another dude. And he's screaming, show me that you respect me. Show me that you care for me. Show me that I'm important to you. And don't let yourself be fooled by today's guest, customer, guest, whatever you call them. Patient, parishioner. It's all the same. They say, respect me.
Yeah, so powerful. My biggest takeaway from this amazingly fast hour that's gone by is how much emotional energy and spiritual value you created for so many team members globally because of the work that you did. So anybody working in your environment, thank you for doing that. And I recommend to all the listeners that they read your book, Excellence Wins. It's fantastic. Was there any one thing that stood out for you today in this conversation, Horst?
Well, again, I would like to kind of lift up our management leadership. What a great opportunity we have to positively impact people. What a beautiful, greatest thing. And as I said, I opened every hotel in the first nearly 50. Some we lost. When I left, we had about 40. Some we lost, some we have. I opened them all. And I went in there actually with a prayer that people would understand my teaching. I left there in a plane flying back to Atlanta after 15 days or so with a prayer that people understood me, my teaching. It's very fulfilling to know that about over 30 of my people that used to work with me are now leading companies. And it's very fulfilling. That's the most greatest fulfillment I had. And when I walked in Bali, and a young man came to me and said, when you opened this hotel as Ritz-Carlton, I was a banquet server. And you were gave leadership teaching to all the managers that visited to help opening and the existing manager. I sneaked into the back and listened to it. This young man tells me. And when you left the room, everybody went, I took the flip charts that you wrote on. And I still have them. That's 30 years ago. And I'm now general manager in this hotel in Ubud. Maybe the most fulfilling moment I ever had in the business. Maybe the most fulfilling. And we have to think about that. We have to think about it.
100%. Horst, if our listeners want to learn more about the work that you're doing, where should they go?
Or just horstschulze.com. Or if you get a book, a few dollars in Amazon, there's also contacts in there and so on. I'm not pushing the book on you guys, but I think it's worth it. And I want you to know that I have a number of companies that one of them bought 5,000 to give to all their employees, some thousands. So it must have some value. I try to, and what I'm trying to tell you, I try to write a story, not a typical business book. And who encouraged me was Steve Harvey, who was a friend. And I had a bad conscience after I promised him I promised him so often. I had a bad conscience when he passed away that I didn't. And that's why I wrote the book, because of my conscience. And I shared it the way he said, he always said, tell your story. That's what I try to do.
Well, you certainly did it, and I highly recommend all of the listeners pick up a copy of the book. And Horst, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Lee, it was indeed a pleasure. I really mean it. Thank you very much. How well you interviewed. I go through a lot of podcasts. Sometimes it's difficult to get into conversation. This was beautiful. Thank you. How you handled it.
I love this. Is by far one of my favorites so far for my podcast. And this has been the Show Your Value podcast. I really appreciate you listening in here. And if you got some value out of today's episode, please like and leave a review. And until next time, show your value to the world.